This episode is sponsored by Paramount Plus, where you can find all of your streaming goodies. They have Halo, which is amazing. We love Halo. That's why you're here, because we love Halo. So if you'd like to get yourself a Paramount Plus membership, then head on down to the link in our description where you can sign up for plans that are really affordable, and you get a whole bunch of cool streaming content. So make sure you do that. Thank you very much to Paramount Plus for sponsoring this video. We appreciate you appreciating us and sponsoring the video. What's up, Spartans, and welcome back to the Watching Now podcast over here on CouchSoup, where we are diving into every episode of Halo Season 2, but there's no more episodes left. We have finished Season 2. What a season it was. What a season it was. No more Halo. No more Halo for a while. No more Halo. But at least you are stuck with us for one more episode of the Watching Now podcast, where we are going to recap the whole of Season 2. We're going to talk about our favorite moments, some of the shitty moments, some of the crazy moments, all of them. We're going to talk about all of them today. Bless you, Drew.
Sorry, I tried to mute before it clicked, but it didn't work. Fuck, I'm sorry. We got to redo the whole thing again. Started from scratch.
So let's dive straight into the episode and talk about our favorite moments. Before we do that, as always, I am your host, Nick. And joining me today, our Spartan lineup is Tom.
Hi.
Hi. And the Superman, Drew.
Spartans never die. Except they do a lot in this season. So I don't know. That really doesn't really make any sense, does it? I'm sorry.
It doesn't. So today we are going to be going through our favorite moments of the show, some of the moments that kind of sucked. We're going to speculate about what we could see from Halo in the future. And we're going to give a overall season rating of what we thought about Season 2. And let's get straight into it with the fun one and talk about our favorite moments of Season 2. So I'm going to kick us off here, and I think this is probably a moment that all of us will share, but one of my favorite moments of Season 2 was like the entire battle on Reach. I think it was really well shot. It had some really cool like one-take like camera shots and things like that. The CGI was great. The action sequences were cool. That whole battle on Reach was just nuts. And that was the big event of the season, so they needed to nail it, but that was one of my favorites, man. That whole episode was freaking awesome.
I only wish we got a bit more of it.
Yeah.
It would have been cool. Like I remember, I think it was Drew who mentioned it, because you weren't in that episode, but you were in the next episode, where you were saying you wanted more of the Battle of Reach. Maybe go to like some of the foot soldiers and like see different parts of what's happening around Reach. Like that could have been cool. Maybe have like a side story just for that episode, like a character that's just in that episode, but he has like his own story and you see him die or something. Like that would have been cool, like ODST style.
Yeah, it felt like such a big moment that it felt like it needed at least 2 episodes, right? To kind of like understand the scale of what's going on, right? Because you're only following Chief and his buddies, right? Through that episode, and it's awesome, and it's great and well done. I applaud the team that made that whole episode happen. And the one-shot looks and the vibe, but yeah, it just felt like we needed to kind of spend more time in Warzone, right? Because it's like it kind of makes it feel like it all happened in a few hours, and probably that battle lasted several days or more, right? Maybe even a week. Like to take on a planet, like holy shit! Like if you compare it to like Russia trying to invade Ukraine, right? Like, and how long that's gone on, right? Like imagine trying to like just destroy a planet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. Way to go, Drew. Way to make it political. Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'll see myself out. Yeah.
Well, like even in the games and book lore, like the Covenant just sort of like blitzed Reach. So like I'm fine with it like being only like a couple of hours, because they just like surprise attack, dead, take out your important targets. I kind of was hoping like we'd see like New Alexandria, and all that sort of stuff, and like more of sword base, which we saw a bit of. But I think Dan mentioned like there was like budget restrictions, so they probably couldn't, which sucks. But I still liked what we got. It still looked awesome. It was still probably one of the better moments of the series, so season 1 and 2.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
I really liked everything to do with Ackerson in episode 3, like him and his dad, and like how he got that start of like showing his other side of like maybe he's not Dickerson, maybe.
He'll always be Dickerson to me.
Maybe he's a soft Dickerson.
Classic. He couldn't do osmosis.
Yes.
So, but like, I remember like when we were recording it, like I think you, Nick, Brandy, Dan, they're all like, no, he's still a dick. Oh, he's just been manipulative. And I'm just like, oh, well, maybe he's trying to do the best he can. And I just really liked how they were able to like, I don't know, make me think that with like both like just the dialogue and just even just how everything was shot. And I just really liked it, especially also like the bit at the end with Keys, when you see Cobalt team and Keys drops the F-bomb for the first time in the series.
Go fuck yourself.
Everything to do with that. I loved it a lot.
The parallels with Ackerson and Kai, because like Ackerson was like saying something. He had some great dialogue where it was like, I can't remember the line, but he says something along the lines of like, if you hold on too long, it starts to hurt, and things like that. And it's like really good because he's talking about his dad, but it's also a parallel with Kai. Like, how long are you going to hold on to Chief? Because he seems like he's going crazy, and it's kind of like Ackerson was using his own personal issues and stuff as ammo to manipulate Kai, which was a fantastic dynamic. And I just love Ackerson's character. I'm glad he didn't die.
I was so stressed. I'm like, don't die.
Don't die.
The opening episode, the opening like 20 minutes of episode 1 of season 2, I think is some of the best of Halo season 2. It's the only time we really get to see the Spartans do their thing for the last time, and you don't really know that until later on, right? Like you don't. That's the like, and they don't. And you really, it's really just Master Chief at the end. But they're still all communicating, and it feels like they're a unit. And then you see Master Chief on the cliff, on that like pillar cliff on. I'm blanking on the name of the planet.
Sanctuary.
Thank you. And he takes out like all those elites and saves us.
Yeah.
And it's just a great moment, and it just, you feel the tension there of like something's gonna happen, and it finally does. And it really kicked off season 2 in a way where everybody I think was timid of like, how's season 2 gonna be? Is it gonna be better than season 1? Please be better. And then that happens, you're like, it's gonna be better. Okay, we're good. We're in good hands. It felt right. And then seeing the glassing of the planet, like that whole like opening was a great opening to the season. And I wish there were more moments like that in season 2. I wish there was more. There are still moments, but I thought that was a great moment to kick things off.
I also liked Vanix, like how he learned that like they all took their pellets out, and like he just has a weird obsession with like nature docos.
Which comes to play later on Reach, right? When he takes the bag of seed we all thought was like something important, and it's just fucking bird seed, and he's on the roof feeding the birds. I didn't think about the callback to that. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean that's another one of my favorite things about season 2 was Vanix's funeral. Like his death was like really intense, but his funeral in that whole next episode, which is a really slow episode, but the symbolic messaging of like, Chief is mourning the loss of his friend, but he's like, I shouldn't be mourning. And Kwan has some incredible dialogue where she says, you need to bury these people, you need to have the funeral so that you can move on, otherwise they follow you. Like metaphorically, they follow you. And then he sees a bird like following him around for the whole episode. Because like Vanek had his birds and stuff on Reach. I just thought it's fantastic the way they told the story with pictures rather than dialogue and just shoving it straight into your face. So Vanek's whole, I loved it. Vanek was a great character season 2.
He got stabbered and then he went kaboom, and then everyone was sad. And some people said, is he dead? Like, because Keys might not be dead. But no, he was dead.
He was dead.
He's now been burned, so he's dead.
They gave him the Viking funeral. They lit his ass on fire. I think he's dead.
You
don't come back from that.
You don't come back from that.
No, that attitude.
Talking about characters that we really love, though, I wanted to shout out something, and I want to say it in this way. And Soren.
And Soren.
I loved Soren in season 1. I loved him in season 2. I like how he's this comic relief character, and I think that's one of my favorite moments for the whole of season 2 when he goes, and Soren.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. And he just is this comic relief character in the serious story, but he also has some serious moments as well. Like he balances it really well. And the actor plays him tremendously well. I really loved Soren and his whole story progression and how it kind of changed. It's kind of up in the air and a little bit confusing at times, but I think the actor plays it in such an endearing way that you don't mind that it's confusing, because it's like you just love seeing him on screen. It's like if Kwan's character was a little bit more endearing and genuine, you'd be like, I'll forgive you for all the confusing storytelling. But like it's just not as cool as Soren. So Soren's my man. I love you, Soren.
Yeah. It's like he's the only one who knows he's in like a sci-fi show on Paramount Plus, right? Like it's like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like he's the only actor who's like, I know what kind of show I'm in. It's almost like he's in on the joke a little bit, right? Like I'm not going to take this too seriously. And I think if the show didn't have Soren and Bokeem playing that character, it would be greatly just not as good. It would just not be as good, because he just comes in and just he's a scene stealer. He steals every scene he's in.
I was surprised and really liked everything to do with Perez. Like when she was first introduced in the first episode, I was like, oh, so cool. Just another random Marine that's just going to, be around for maybe an episode or two, but then,
dead.
But no, like the way she interacted with Chief through the first 4 episodes, like how she obviously had some form of PTSD from being like a soul survivor to like her fighting alongside Chief and then eventually becoming a Spartan 3, having the cool space dives and everything. She was the surprise for me, because like I didn't expect to be so invested in just a random Marine story, and they did it. I think they did it well. I have a theory that she might not, if they have a season 3, she might not make it past 2 episodes. But until then,
don't do this to us, because your theories are normally right. So don't do this to us, Tom.
No, yeah, right. Tom, don't give the writers any ideas.
Don't do it.
I already gave them space cowboy keys, so
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, everything with Perez, really liked it.
Other than Soren and Master Chief, obviously, like Perez is probably like the highlight of the series, right? Like I just think that actress, she's really good. Like I think she knows. She played her part really well, like in like that character arc. I don't know, like there's something about the way she knew that character well enough to kind of portray it in a way that even when it's like not a lot's happening, like it's just them having a conversation, it felt interesting. Like you felt invested, which like it's kind of like Game of Thrones stuff. You need good actors to kind of get you to do that, and so I think that really showed. I know Dan didn't think he was dead, but I thought Key's death was done really, really cool. Was really well done,
awesome.
And I thought it's great when a show is able to kill off if not a main character, like a sub main, like someone who's high up that we've seen a lot, and to do it in a respectful and I think in a way that makes sense for the character. And I really liked Key's death and how he sacrificed himself to let that ship get away. And
I think it was well done, because his speech was freaking awesome. That's another great moment, is his speech where he gets up there and he drops the F-bomb where he's like,
show those scaly bastards they fucked with the wrong planet.
So cool. And it reminded me so much of those speeches in like the president's speech in Independence Day, and like what's his name's speech from Braveheart. Like it's that speech where he just rallies everyone, and then it feels earned. Like that sacrifice feels like, like he's like literally like, let's put our asses on the line, let's make this happen. And then he proves it by doing it himself. Like it's just so good, and it was so impactful. I swear, if he's alive in season 3 and he's like this grave mind or whatever, I can rage quit. So
No,
I hate it when they do that. Like
again,
Glenn from The Walking Dead, they did that bait and switch where you like saw zombies biting something and Glenn is screaming, and then it turns out they were biting a different person and Glenn scampered off, and it's fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's just stupid.
Honestly, I think it's 50-50, because
No, it can't be 50-50.
No, because think about it. It's a sci-fi show. We didn't see the body. There were plasma shields around him from the jackals. There's every chance he could live
Okay,
with maybe.
I will say this
or
about
leg.
it. I will say this about it. We didn't see the body, but he was right next to a fuel pump with a couple of 100 gallons of fuel that exploded. There is no he evaporated.
I think.
Well,
I mean,
we don't know. Maybe he built different. We don't know.
Yeah, he's built different. He's just
We just see like
his
little
key stuff.
pieces of keys coming together in season 3, episode 1, and they just like,
Maybe he also had like a portable like shield generator. So like before the pipe
there
went,
you go. There you
and
go.
like
his
covered,
uniform was actually power armor, and he just like
yeah.
Keys from another universe just jumped in and whipped him to another universe.
Oh yeah,
Set up the multiverse in season 3.
I'm just saying, like, if you don't see the body, I've learned from my mistakes from Monarch when I said, nah, that person's dead. If you don't see the fucking body, there's a 50% chance they're not dead.
I mean,
So-
you can't show a body when it evaporates and flames, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of hard. Basically, he's dust. Like, it's like cremation, instant cremation.
Show me the dust.
Get the
Show me
shot of
Show me
dust.
the dust, bitches. Yeah,
I want
They
to
have a
see,
little pop-up that just points to the thing and says
Yeah.
keys.
this is.
I just want to see the
yeah.
dust with the pipe
You
on top of it.
you want Halsey to kind of come up and like blow his dust away, like he's dead.
Well,
She
that's
makes
one way
her
to-
peace with it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, we'll see. The jury's out on season 3.
We'll see. Jury's out. On that somber note, let's move to our next segment of the show. We're going to talk about this may even be one of them. We'll talk about some of the worst moments of season 2. So the moments we didn't enjoy, maybe they were bad, maybe they just didn't sit well with us, and maybe they were just downright confusing. But these are some of our least favorite moments of season 2 Halo. I'm going to get the ball rolling with probably my least favorite thing of season 2 in general. And it's Cortana's redesign.
Yeah.
Wow.
She
who
looked so
could've
good
guessed?
in season 1.
Who could have
If you've
guessed
been
that
watching the
this
show, you know that was an obvious one. But why did they change her? She looked so good in season 1. And they didn't even say anything about it. And it's not just like a different hairstyle or the whole face is different. Like, I just, I hate it when, like, it just, I don't know. I hated it.
Yeah, we could not tell that you hated the entire time because you totally didn't mention it.
She looked so good in season 1. I like that she looked like she was fully CGI. That didn't have like a human stand-in for her scenes and stuff. And she even was like mini Cortana in a few scenes, which she doesn't do in season 2 at all. Like, it's just like I don't know. And they didn't mention it at all. They didn't say, oh, this is why she looks different or anything. I would have appreciated and accepted it more if they said, this is why she looks different. You know, we had the theory that she was modeled to look like Akasin's younger sister, which like they kind of looked similar, but they have nothing to say. I mean, there's a little reference where Chief is trying to talk to like an AI and he changes her appearance and stuff, but it's like, that's not enough. Tell us why.
I just don't understand why they don't just like make her computer generated. Why does it have to be an actress? Like because why doesn't it look like it does in the game? It should just look like it does in the games, right? Like it should just be like a game anime. Like they don't need a stand-in actor to do Cortana because she's not real. Like she's a hologram, right? Like it just and because then you have Jen Taylor's voice and that works, right? And then you could just make it change to whatever. Because now Jen Taylor has to ADR that actor's, so she's restricted on how she can perform.
Yes.
Right, like it all just makes it kind of confusing, like why they'd even choose to make
it's needless.
It does feel a little bit like extra work.
I loved how she looked in season 1 and how it was completely CGI. I feel like it just worked so perfectly because it's an AI hologram, and it's like it was so good. It was so good. We don't have to talk about it anymore, though.
No,
we should talk about it all the time.
I will defend it.
The whole rest of this podcast.
I didn't mind it because, like, I think. Gone from the games, how like she changed design nearly every single fucking time. Like I was just like, cool, they're just doing the thing. If they don't acknowledge it, then it's like, cool, bet they're just mixing it up for gits and shiggles, whatevs, mate. But yeah, so I didn't find it that jarring. And what you said, Drew, about like the ADI in the in the post to like match up. I just get reminded of Darth Maul in Solo with Ray Park and Sam Witwer, how like they just went back and forth, so it's like felt more like a collaborative thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think like Ray Park would do the scene, then Sam would record, and then they'd go back again. So they could have done that.
You can have a stand-in, and that's fine. You just get rid of the stand-in. It doesn't make sense. Like the stand-in's reading lines so that the actor has something to bounce off, but then Jin can do her own thing in the room with dots on her, right, and do her performance. And then they just AI generate, or not AI generate, but like computer graphics. I don't know. It just feels like, I don't know. I'm a little confused on like and maybe they know more than I do. What do I know? I'm not in production or anything.
Maybe she's gonna look different in season 3.
Because it's a similar thing, like progressive technology. So like she looked better and better as games went on. But even then, if you just look at like the core of her design, even just her hair, it changed nearly every single time.
Fair enough.
Which, and again, they never acknowledge it. They don't have a wow, what you do with your hair moment. It was just it was just a roll with it.
It is.
I mean, and that's what you're supposed to do. Like in TV, like if an actor, like when The Witcher comes out, like the new season of The Witcher, they're not, all the actors aren't going to be like, you don't look like Henry Cavill, you know, like, you look like Liam whatever, Hemsworth or whatever, you know, like it's like they're just going to like move on, right? They're not going to acknowledge it but I understand, but it just doesn't make sense why. It would be more funny if they didn't acknowledge it, because she is AI and she can be whatever the fuck she wants to be, right? If she wants to make her hair long tomorrow, she can make her hair long tomorrow. Like there's no programming that says I have to look this way, right? I mean, if she can control the way she looks, then let her do whatever she wants and like have fun with it as part of the narrative storytelling. Like why not? Right? There's no reason to to not talk about it, I guess, in a way.
It's just Cortana just stuck in a perpetual identity crisis.
Yes.
It's just always changing the way she looks.
You should talk about that.
He keeps getting this email from this one weird person from like South Africa. Like he keeps saying like, go back. Switch it back.
Switch it back. I haven't sent any emails.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Nick. They got all of them. And you're blocked, by the way, from ever going to Paramount.
Thanks, Paramount.
Yeah. You know, I'm just gonna throw it out there. The flood thing. I just don't think we needed it this season. And like the Quan thing makes like I'm just so confused. Like she has some connection and her past, and there's a weird cave where she has cave paintings and she has visions of caves and some weird lady that speaks to her. Like it's just like every time I go back and I think about those moments, I'm like, can we just go back to Chief punching people in the face? Like I have no interest in that, and it doesn't seem to really make any fucking sense. So I don't know. I'm just sort of on the fence on the flood now. Now that I've seen the flood 2, it just feels like something that could have waited till season 2. Like it wasn't like something that I felt like catalyzed into being relevant. Like get to the Halo, make the Halo the thing. I don't need this whole side story of developing into the flood. Like I don't know. I just don't think we need it. It's kind of like they want that. Here's what they want. They want to have the White Walkers, and they want to have their like Game of Thrones
internal conflicts.
Yeah, like but I'm like, you already have Halo, which is kind of like the White Walker, right? It's the mysterious thing that everybody's after or trying to figure out. You don't need another mysterious thing that everybody like. You have too many mysterious stories that are going on, and not enough answers on either side. So I guess I'm a little like boo flood this season. No, next season, sure, we're on Halo, maybe we can explore a little bit of both, because now they are connected. So I get it.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, I did love the final episode for the flood stuff, because I'm a huge fan of like those 2000s zombie movies, which very much felt like what this final episode was with the flood. But so I enjoyed the flood story in the last episode, but I do agree it was too much too soon. It's something I mentioned in that final episode, that opening scene, the cold open, where that annoying lab assistant Janine gets infected and then like just rushes a guy and stabs him in the neck. I think it would have been cool to have just that be like the final scene, that plays out just before like all the Halo stuff at the end. Just have that play out, so we're all like, what the fuck is happening on Onyx? And then we go to Halo, and then it's like, wait, you guys not going to answer that question? And that's the cliffhanger. rather than saying, oh, the flood's here and already a threat. But it's like, well, the Covenant's, like we were saying, the Covenant's not even really a threat yet. Like it's still kind of just starting, and now you're introducing another big bad. It's like, I don't know, it felt a bit forced and a bit rushed.
Yeah,
So I do agree with you on that.
Whilst I kind of do agree a bit, thinking back on it, I think mostly it has to do with like their course correcting from season 1. So I think if they want to do a season 3 and they want all these different things set up, and they're like, oh crap, because we wasted a lot of time in season 1 with stuff that we're not going to bring forward. We're trying to get faster and faster and show enough things to people get invested so we can get season 3.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm assuming that was their goal, just to try and, be like, hey, season 3, we've got Flood. Here's proof of concept. Here's what we can do with it.
Yeah. I 100% think you're right. I think the Covenant is incredibly interesting in its own right. And I think one of the strong points of season was some of the hierarchy and the backstory of the Covenant and what they're after, and how the Covenant work, like as a political system and as a society, and the characters there. Like, I kind of want to I want to get to know the other side of my enemy, right? And I feel like they've all of that fell to the floor is really the Arbiter and McKay this whole season. You don't really get any Covenant political like discussions or anything, right? Like, it's very, very minimal. And I thought that was really a strong point of season 1 that they got rid of, and instead they, to your point, they introduced the Flood and they made that a big storyline. So I don't know. I guess to each their own. I mean, I'm not a writer. I'm not in the writer's room. I'm sure they had their reasons, and I think you're right, Tom, that they kind of wanted to kind of bring in something that was interesting that could hook people maybe more than the Covenant was. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's very much my opinion will change if they get season 3 and how they stick the landing for it. Like, if they can somehow, if they get season 3 and they can continue on and they make it not feel out of place, because they've changed how they introduced the Flood in general. Because firstly it was like, oh, they get onto the Halo, and then they find it like, oh no, it was Parasite, Puppet Days. So I think, it's just how they go from here, if they get the chance, will influence like if this was really shit or not shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll all depend on how the Flood is implemented in future stories, and I've got some theories on that. So we'll get we'll talk more on that a little bit later in the episode.
Less of a worst moment, more just like a criticism they have of this season. It felt very disjointed between episodes 1 through 4 and 5 through 6. Like 1 through 4 felt very like all Reach, self-contained. Like this is like felt like this was going to be the story of the entire season. But then after episode 4, it felt like a different show a bit. Like, it felt like, cool, we've had like here's your season of Reach, but like it was only 4 episodes. I'm like, oh, you could have just and that was always nagging me like the entire time. Like, whilst I was like, cool stuff happening, I'm like, this feels completely different tonally, like everything story wise. It's just like it feels like this could have been a season 3. It feels like they could have done, if they had the budget for it, season 2 just Reach, which is what we all thought was going to happen, just full Reach, different cities, different battles, all that sort of stuff. And then season 3 would have been, you know, Onyx, Spartan 3s, introduce Flood, get to Halo, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that was probably like my biggest thing that just like didn't sit right with me, was just, it felt after halfway, it felt like very disjointed. In like comparing the two halves.
Yeah, and I think a lot of has, in my mind, I agree with you. And I think I brought this up. It's sort of like the first 4 episodes or whatever. It's like happened within like a matter of days. Like, it's like Chief is on Sanctuary, and then she goes and is like, hey, they were there. And then there's a few days of him like going rogue, and then Sword, and then happens, and then Reach happens, right? It's all like within 2 or 3 days, right? That all kind of accumulates. Whereas like after Reach, it's like you're not really sure how long anything happens. Like, it's like, have they been in space for months or weeks, or he was hurt and now he's fine, and so-and-so's, you know, like, you're like, what's happening? They had enough time to build a Spartan army, you know. You're like what is the timeline here? Like, how is this all coming to, it just felt very like, let's rush things so we could get to the Halo. Like, it felt very rush, and with no real understanding of time and narrative.
It felt like they took their time with the first four, like you said, like just making everything like build the suspense. But then like after in episode 5 onwards, like you have to assume time has passed a lot, and even just it feels just so, like you said, just go, which I think impacted episode 8 the most, because there was just so much, and there was just nonstop.
Yeah.
Like they kind of were just counting on the audience to fill in the blanks, which I mean, it's not what you really should be doing. Yeah, that's definitely what happened with the last couple of episodes. Was it just felt like there's important moments that they just kind of like sped through because they were like, oh shit, we've only got 2 episodes left, guys. We've got to rush through this important story.
Yeah. Like it's like the first 4 episodes had really great character moments, like with Perez and Chief, and like, you know, moments with like, you know, Ackerson, aka Dickerson, right? Like you had these great, like, it felt like you're like, I'm watching prestige TV. And then the second half of the season kind of felt like I'm watching like an action show that has a lot to, like, that kind of got rid of story or character development. It's like, we did all the character stuff. Now let's show you how all the puzzle pieces fall together. It's like introducing way too much new stuff, right? It felt like, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would agree there with McKay's story. There's something I was going to mention is I think McKay's story at times, not all of it, because I did enjoy her story overall, but there were times where her story felt a bit tilted and a bit confusing, where I was kind of, and again, maybe it's me just not paying attention, which I do, but like maybe it's that, but there were times where I was like, okay, so she doesn't want to go back to the Covenant, and the Arbiter's taking her back there, and then she convinces the Arbiter to leave. But then we don't see anything that, or hear anything that like the Covenant are upset with them for leaving. Right, so now they all of a sudden are on the run, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And then all of a sudden there's a priest with them later, and I'm like, okay, and like the first couple of episodes, it's just McKay and the Arbiter. And then it was when the priest is there's a whole bunch of elites with them as well. I'm like, so did they rally an army or like? And then McKay was like, no, we have to go just find the Halo. And then she's like, yeah, because I have to use it to make peace. But we need to destroy it. And I was like, I don't understand what you're on about, woman. Just try and make some sense. I liked your story and it was cool, but it just didn't make sense sometimes. I love the bond. The bond between McKay and the Arbiter was great, where the Arbiter's like, I am bound to you, I'm going to serve you, and McKay brands herself, which was a freaking epic part. But like that was awesome, but like their motivations and everything else around the Covenant, like we didn't see the Covenant at all in this whole season, if you think about it. All we saw was the Arbiter and his elites that just appeared one episode, who were technically not, they were like a rogue unit or whatever. So we didn't actually see anything of the Covenant. I think so. That was just McKay's story was cool. It's just a bit tilted and confusing at times.
I think there was an easy way they could have like even just set the framing for this. Have like one of the opening scenes of the season be the hierarchs and be brand them as heretics, or like be show like the like truth, regret, mercy. Be like, McKay or the Arbiter have disgraced the great journey. We need to hunt these heretics down because otherwise they will stop us from achieving true enlightenment. Blah 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 blah. Right. Cult shit.
What I was thinking, I think I forgot to say this during the episode, or I thought about it afterwards. But the episode where the Arbiter kills the priest, I was thinking that would have actually been so much better if the Arbiter took McKay back to High Charity. And then the hierarchs or whatever, they then say, you know what, you guys are heretics. We need to imprison you because you've been wasting time, and say to the Arbiter, you still have not redeemed yourself. And then as they're about to take McKay away, then the Arbiter, like, you know, rebels and says, like, slices people up or whatever, and then McKay gets onto a ship, and then they escape, and they're like, we've got to go to the Halo. I feel like that would have been more powerful. And that would have been an action sequence on Covenant. We would have seen that there's some more internal, like, issues with the Covenant, and they would have been established as like a threat, because in episode 8 we've got the big space battle. You're like looking at their giant corvettes and you're like, yeah, these guys are a threat, but are they really? It's kind of just like this facade. So I think that would have been better from a key story.
Completely agree. I mean, it goes back to like, it needed more Covenant, and you're right, Tom, like it just needed some it's almost like they probably did write it, because if I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of moments, and I guess this is my final kind of like nitpick, is it feels like there's a lot of moments that hit the cutting room floor. Either they filmed it and didn't use it, or they just said they took it out of the script because we don't have the time or budget. But it does feel like there's moments here where we needed like juxtaposition or context, like a scene to give us context for motivation, and especially around the Covenant. It feels like that was very like, hey, it was like a purposeful decision to cut a lot of that out to make more time for Master Chief and Halsey and Parangosky and that whole storyline to kind of make that head fake work. And so it does, like, the continuity of things I think could have been tighter, and I think it needed just a few more weeks in the writer's room to kind of say like, hey, maybe if we cut out more of this flood garbage and Quan, and maybe bring in more of the Arbiter, make the Arbiter more relevant. Because if the Arbiter was a bigger part of the season 1 story, if they did a better job of making us like the Arbiter, like he's doing, like if he's against the Covenant, which we all are because they just glassed the planet, that makes him almost like an anti-hero to us. So when Chief kills him, it should feel like, no, don't, like he's actually, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
he's actually a good guy.
It should have felt it should have felt more like we should have been on the fence to see almost that Chief shouldn't have done that. Like that should have been a moment where like, I want to see the Arbiter live, and you're watching two of your favorite people kind of battle it out, and only one's going to make it, and you don't know who you want. And I think if they should have made that decision earlier on to focus more on the Arbiter, I think, in McKay. Let's move on, because the show's pretty good. Like, I don't want to dwell on too many bad things on it. Like, I think
I mean, it was kind of difficult thinking about like the worst moments. I mean, I just kind of talked about some of the things that I didn't like, but it was also like, well, like talking about McKay's story. I mean, like I have those criticisms of McKay's story, but I still liked it. I mean, I think that's a good sign that we don't have too many of the worst moments, and we kind of all defended our worst moments as well. So
yeah, right. And it feels like nitpicking too. Sometimes when I'm picking out like worst moments, like it's like, like I wish it did this, but and it's almost like you love something so much that you're going to pick it apart like for no reason. It's like, it's like Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but I could still nitpick about all the things that I think are wrong with it. Right.
Absolutely.
So it's just nature of it's the nature of love,
the nature of love, and we love Halo.
Why did you say it like that?
Because I don't know, that's how I say love. I want to be a Frenchman who speaks with the more of Italian now. I don't know. I can't do accents.
You're worse than me. Jesus.
I know, right? I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place.
Oh man! So we do love Halo. We have loved season 2, even though we did have some of our worst moments. We talked about those. We did still love it overall. So great job, Paramount, and everybody involved for season 2 of Halo. We are huge fans. Now, we still don't have confirmation of a season 3 yet, but Joseph Morgan, who played Dickerson in season 2, he's optimistic. He was on record saying, there's been some good audience response and critical response, so he's optimistic we're going to get a season 3. Still no confirmation yet, which is weird. I thought they would have confirmed it during the season, but we'll have to wait and see. But talking about a season 3, I thought we could have a little bit of fun now and quickly speculate on what we might see from season 3 and the future of Halo. Maybe season 4, 5, or whatever. Maybe some spin-offs and things like that. So let's talk about some future speculation. I'm going to get the ball rolling on this one, and I'm going to say what I think in season 3 we're going to get from Chief, at least, is that he's going to be more focused on being like a lone soldier. Like he's not going to work for the UNSC, or the ONI. He's not really going to work for anyone. He's kind of just going to get in there and do the job where he sees, he's most needed. I think Cortana is going to say, okay, the UNSC has got a mission here. It's misguided. It's a stupid mission. You've got to get in there and help them so that they can win the fight against the Covenant or whatever. So I think we're going to see like a lot in the games. He's very much alone by himself when you're playing. So I think we're going to see a lot of that in season 3. I think he's going to go on his own mission as like a soldier of fortune type.
Yeah,
I think that'd be interesting. And then it'd be cool too when he runs into more Marines or Covenant, right? Like he's still gonna save humans and do his thing, but he's still kind of like he's got his own mission almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's on Team Human, but he's kind of, doing his own plans and
Right.
tactics and
He's
stuff.
Team Human, sub Team Chief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think you mentioned throughout the season as well, I think Dan did as well, how like this is whole just send Chief up to be where he was at the beginning of Halo 1 by himself, just doing his thing. And it very much seems like that's where he is at, which everyone wanted to begin with, but because Vanek's dead, Riz is a cripple and probably going to become a Flood Spartan, and Kai is
Floating
dead.
Space.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just going to be like, I agree that it's probably most likely just be Chief Cortana palling about in Halo, getting up to some crazy shit, shooting some fuckers, and maybe having some more bonding time.
Yeah.
Chief and Cortana are going to be the biggest ship of season 3.
Yeah.
It's already a ship in the game, so why the fuck not?
Where do you? This is less of a prediction. I'm curious where do we think McKay's character is going to go from here? Because I mean, she's clearly not in the games. Like, there's no.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think a parallel to her character and what her character would be in the game. I can't think. It's been a while since I played Halo 1 and 2, but I'm trying to figure out where that's going to go. Like, I feel like they got to just nip that and kind of get rid of that. Like, it should just.
Do we think though? I mean, that's a way they could take it and say that like McKay dies early season 3 and say like we can't really, because her whole story was finding the Halo. Now we're at the Halo. What do you do with it?
She's supposed to activate it to be her. So her and Chief, she's gonna reset the universe, right? Like that's her. She wants to. And the motivation there just feels not great. I don't know. Like I just don't.
It'd be cool to see her turn on the Covenant and join the humans. Like kind of that's like her whole culmination of her story. She's like, okay, I see the Halo thing is stupid. So then she decides, cool, I'm going to join.
I'm just not sure she's a redeemable character, right? She watched while she led the army to Reach, and she's basically probably helped them take on Flood Sanctuary or Glass Sanctuary and Reach, right? Like she just feels like an irredeemable character at this point. She's been a part of killing so many humans. I don't see how you can like have her character come back from that. She's clearly gone too far into her own. She's drunk. She's too far villain, and she's in her own. Now she's on her own island. She's made an enemy of the Covenant and the humans, and she has no power. I'm just sort of like, how long is this chick gonna make it? Like, I just don't know.
My biggest sort of theory for what's going to happen is that we're once again going to get like two separate stories. So there's one that's going to be, Halo, Cortana, the Chief, just all that sort of fun stuff. The other is, I think, Perez, maybe pick up Kyle on the way. They're going to return to Onyx, and it's just going to be Flood Planet. And I think that will be like the whole thing, like have to get, Miranda out, fix Halsey, or get Halsey's cryopod out. And I think Perez might die and become Flood Spartan herself, or Kai will become Flood Spartan. I just feel like we're going to see a Flood Spartan in some capacity.
Ooh.
And if my theory from episode 7 or 8 is right, and the little red dots were like sleeper cells of Flood activating, like I think Riz is also fucked. So I have a feeling that like half of season 3, if they get it, will be on Onyx, and we'll see the Perengoski Gravemind like starting to form. We'll get like that will be where all Flood stuff happens, and they just won't be on the Halo, which is a big change. But I think that's probably where that's why they set up Flood on Onyx to be like, hey, so we don't have to do it on the Halo itself, so Chief doesn't deal with the Flood, but like we still have that element.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because like then you could have like maybe even like Soren and Ackerson and Quan meet up with Perez as they're coming back crossover, and they're like, oh, don't go back there. It's kind of like, shit. And it's like, oh, but we have to go back because maybe some people are still there. And then Soren probably like, all right, Quan, take Kessler, go home. accent. You're with me. We're going back there to fix some shit, and that's where we get.
Quan, remove yourself from this narrative.
Yeah, you've done your job. You've done your
Please
job.
just take my kid and go home.
Let me abandon my son again for me to try and have to find him at the end of season 3.
Totally, yeah.
But I can see that because then you'd have Soren meet up with Flood Lyra. And that have that whole if you remember, I think it's Gears of War 2 where Dom finds his wife all gross and everything, and you have Soren entering split up. We need to search for survivors, or Miranda's I need samples from a flood in order to do a thing, and that's where we see a fully flood mutated Lyra, and then Soren has to put her down, and that's it might be a cheap emotional moment. The fact that they showed her walking away still human, it's that you send that up here, you're going to circle back to her later with Soren have to kill her.
Yeah.
And there might be
or capture her for study or something.
No, it'll be a sad...
Clearly they're going to be able to find a cure because Halsey's infected. So there's going to be a cure.
She's frozen.
There's going to have to be
something. Right, but eventually... Listen,
They'll have to unfreeze her. Yeah,
you don't hire that actress and just to have her sit in a frozen tube for a whole season. She's going to come out season episode 2, right? She's out of that thing, right? So
I think it might be a case of if you catch it before it fully takes over your mind, because again in the games there is no cure besides killing everything. I think if they can get you might be if we get it fast enough we can kill the spores in your body. But I think Lyra's fucking gone.
Lyra's definitely gone.
And the only thing would be is after she gets shot, if she gets shot, she might have that moment of clarity where she goes thank you or something to Soren to try and get more tears out of people.
Stop it, Tom.
I'm going to counter that theory with I think Lyra might find a way to kind of neutralize something. There might be something there where there's something that happens that keeps her somewhat human where she's able to be cured. Because there's got to be a hook for Soren, right? There's got to be something for him to kind of be a part of the show. Otherwise, he's just going to go back to his mining planet and be I'm king.
It could also, instead of his hook could be he's seen what it can do he's just seen a family destroyed. His family is ruined by this thing. Because he wasn't as active as he could have been.
But he's so much more he's so very much a Han Solo where he's hey, what's in it for me now? It's I'd rather leave. I don't want to fight this. That's not my battle, right?
His whole story in at least the latter half was how he didn't want to find Halsey for revenge. He wanted to be a Spartan again. And Lyra called him out on it. It's hey, what the fuck are you doing? I thought you wanted to get Kessler, get out, but he's no, he has to do this for XYZ. And she's do you want to be a father or did you just want to be a Spartan again? But
then he chooses to be a father, right? He goes and saves his kid.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm that's why I think there needs to be a clear line to go save his wife in order to leave his kid again, because unless the kid's going to be part of the show, I don't know. Yeah.
Drew, do you have any speculations?
Man, I don't. I have wishful thinking. My wish is that we get a lot of cool shit on Halo. My wish is we get an epic, we get epic fights like we would in the video game, where Chief is looking up a hill. I got to get to that entrance. There's about 50 Covenant between me and that entrance to that building. And I got a warthog and I'm low on ammo, right? I want a moment where he's got to just kind of plow through all the different types, and then a gunship flies in and he's got to jump on the gunship. And I want a Halo moment.
Halo experience.
I want a Halo experience. I felt like they gave us that in season 1 and we didn't really get that in season 2, unfortunately.
I think Dan hit it on nail the head earlier on in this podcast as well, where he said now that we're at this point, it's very likely they just do Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and just start following that story, or following that sort of chain of events. Because we're on the first Halo now they get to, so, and the Guilty Spark is there, so they're going to probably do that whole thing. Although I do think that, because as you're talking about McKay before, I think they're going to combine a bit of Halo 3 into Halo 1, because in Halo 3, Truth is all activating the rings, and it's I'm going to purify everything, but then the Flood teams up with Chief and Arbiter, a different Arbiter, to stop Truth. So it could easily be like McKay's whole shtick is that she wants to fire the Halos.
Right.
Chief's like, no, don't do it.
Right.
And then, yeah.
So you think the Flood will team up? I don't know. I feel like they won't even.
Yeah, well, in the games they did, because like Hive-Mind's like, hey, if the rings go off, then like we lose our food and then we die. So like that's no good. So like we'll team up like to help, but as soon as like Truth is dead, it's like, okay, cool, fuck you again. Like it's very. So I could see that if they want to go that route to keep McKay in a sort of position of like relevance.
So who's the Truth with?
He's a prophet, like one of the hierarchs, but they would just like take out a hierarch. They just take out a hierarch and put McKay in that position of like, she's trying to do the thing and she's a bad person for doing it.
And so the humans and the Flood teamed up.
The Flood helped Chief to like stop Truth, but like as soon as Truth was dead, Flood was like, cool, thanks for not getting rid of our food. We're gonna kill you again now. Lol, soz.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something we were talking about, like introducing the Flood too early. And I said like I have some theories on that from earlier in the episode. Callback. I think that like something we could see in the future is the Flood become like the biggest of the bad enemies. They become like more of a threat than the Covenant, and in some way, the Covenant and the humans kind of inadvertently work together to beat them. So it's not like, hey, enemy of my enemy, let's work together, let's be friends, and then they reconcile. It's kind of just like, you know, maybe they get in contact and they say, hey, you got to send your team in there because you have a better position. And then as they send in their team, they're like, wait for them to finish the job. Now let's attack them. I feel like there's something there where the Covenant realize we can't beat the Flood by ourselves, and the humans realize we can't beat the Flood by ourselves. So they kind of had this uneasy alliance. Because I don't want to say they're going to do this, but I feel like maybe the Covenant and the humans team up and beat the Flood completely in season 3 so that the Flood's no more. And then the Covenant become the big bad for future seasons.
In the games, in Halo 3, that's what happens pretty much. But that's what causes the Covenant to sort of fully split. So like you have like the full-on religious fanatics who follow the hierarch say, oh, the Flood, there's just little crazy guys. It doesn't matter. We're going to get to the Halos. But then like the elites specifically are like, nah fam, fuck that shit. We'll help these human people until like we don't get overrun by a parasite. So
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's when the real Arbiter, the good guy Arbiter, maybe that's where he falls in season 3. Maybe
like because they've changed it all, so anything's possible.
My one last thing is like speculation, or I guess I can't speculate too much. I haven't really played a lot of the newer Halos, just the original 3. The original 3, I call them, because anything after that. But I would like more Forerunner like deep dives, like what they did in the pre-ultimate episode of the season, where they really went into a little bit of the Forerunner lore and like where they are and unlocking things and the puzzles, and like I want more of that. Like I nerd out on that stuff, man. I really want more deep dives into kind of like who they are and why we're here and why we should care about the Halo and how it's relevant to the humans and the Covenant. And like I just like really I go into that stuff, like go into the nerd shit, right? It doesn't always have to be action like osmosis and like Flood stuff, right? Like give me something to chew on, like some world building.
Well, that is some speculation for what we hope to see in the future from the Halo series. Hopefully, to get a season 3. I'm keen. I just it's really hit its stride as a show, and I feel like it's a nice, easy watch. It's really fun. I really hope we get season 3. It seems to be much more positively reviewed as well. So we should see a season 3. Let's hope. Let's hope. Yeah, come on, Paramount, do it.
People like this one. Don't fuck it up.
Anyways, that is our speculations talking about what we would like to see in the future. So for one last time, let's do a scoreboard of season 2. For one last time, where do we play season 2 on our scoreboard? Give it a rating out of 10. I will go first on this one. I think it was a very strong improvement on season 1. I feel like season 1 was cool. season 2 definitely built on it and found its stride. I generally find like it's finding its feet. It's super cool sci-fi action. It's really, really cool. The Flood did, I think, join the party a little bit too early, but it does present a lot of cool opportunity moving forward for the show. I love the action set pieces and the political drama. I think Tommy made a great point earlier about how like season 4 and episode 1 to 4 and the rest of the season kind of felt disjointed, because episode 1 to 4 was really cool because it felt like there was a lot of like political drama and things like that in it as well. So that was really cool. I hope they kind of do more of that, but in different ways. I'd like to see that kind of stuff with the Covenant as well. So hopefully we see that in the future. But I did enjoy those parts. I would like to see Chief be more active in the future. This is something maybe I'd have as a criticism of season 2, is that he didn't feel like he was actually taking part in a lot of stuff. It was kind of everything was happening around him. And the big story elements, Chief wasn't actually really involved in it. He was kind of, everything was happening to him rather than he was doing things until like towards the end. And then overall I really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying this series. I hope we see more of it, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for season 2.
I would agree with a lot of what you said. Like, I definitely saw improvement over season 1, because like before season 2 started, I rewatched all of season 1, and like it was all right. But yeah, definitely from the get-go, they set a better tone. Episodes 1 to 4 were like the best thing that best sequence episode they've done. Yeah, pacing after episode 4 was a bit at times. And there were a few story things where it's just like, I could have done later, done a bit differently. But a lot of the criticisms I have are kind of like overshadowed by especially those first 4 episodes and the characters and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, overall, I enjoyed it a lot more. I wasn't as confused by Quan as everyone else seems to be. But I think that's probably because I made a fucking massive jump connection. I made a giant leap of logic in the first episode. So like in my mind, I was always just like, yep, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I always connected back to my theory thing from the beginning. So I think that's why I wasn't as lost, because even if I was wrong, I still had that through line in my head of like, no, this will be right. Trust the process.
We'll come around.
We'll come around. But yeah, I still don't think Keys is dead. I think he's going to come back with an eye patch, peg leg, be like, yeehaw, I'm Captain Keys, but just you can't kill me.
Can't wait.
And he'll have like his own version of Cortana, who looks slightly different again. It'll be closer to for season 1, but just like the hair will be like half cut off just to piss Nick off. Hire me, Paramount. And yeah,
this is Tom's official application.
It's my
story pitch.
But no, I probably would also give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Like I gave like I think season 1 like a 6 or a 7, but I'd give season 2 an 8 as well. Like enough good was done that a few of the bits I could overlook.
Man, I'm not going to surprise anybody then. I'll break it up too. I think episodes 1 through 4 are awesome. I'd give those like an 8.5, like solid, like great, good stuff, like minor nitpicks, but overall like really, really good storytelling and a build to a really great, Reach episode. And then the last 4 kind of like fumble a bit, right? Even and narratively and cohesively, it kind of just sorts to like, it's just they had to do a lot to get to Halo, and they didn't quite. It needed the moments, more slower moments that felt more relevant. And so I'd give the second half like a 7.5, right? Like it's kind of just didn't quite make it. So overall, I'm going to give it like an 8, kind of right there in the middle, just like you guys. I think it was super strong and did a lot of work to rectify some of the issues of season 1. I'm really looking forward to season 2. Again, season 3. If you're out there and you're like, oh, Halo, I mean, and if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably like, you're already drinking the Kool-Aid like us. But like if, so I don't need to go on my like rant of like why you should be watching it, because you're already watching it. But like if you got friends that are like on the fence, I tell them like, it's a fun sci-fi show, right? It's a fun sci-fi / goes in a little bit of fantasy show, especially with the Flood getting in there. but I think anybody would have a good time with this show. And tell them like, hey, get through season 1, it gets better, right? Like, and there's a lot of TV shows out there that do that, right? Like, there's a lot of TV shows that season 1 is kind of garbage, but season 2 is like kicks it up a notch, right? Like I could go back to like shows like The Expanse, or I can go back to like even like episodes of Star Trek Next Generation. Season 1 is awful, like so like, and then it just gets better. So like, I hope Paramount greenlight season 3, because I think the show will even get better. And even if they have to tighten their budgets, I think they can do it narratively with where they've put themselves strategically, with the two, like you brought up, Tom, like they have Onyx and they have Halo. And if they can just solidify it to those two places and really tell really great stories on those two places, I think the show will be better for it, and less jumping around, and we can really get into the nitty gritty of Halo, right? And the backstory. So I'd be really excited to see a season 3, and I know a lot of people out there would. So here's hoping.
Yeah, is hoping. Well, that is our final scoreboard for Halo Season 2, the Watching Now podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this epic journey across space. And thank you again to Paramount Plus for sponsoring this podcast. We appreciate you. And to you guys watching this, if you're interested in getting a Paramount Plus account, then head to the link in the description below where you can sign up for a streaming account with Paramount Plus. They've got a bunch of cool stuff, so go and check them out. Thank you guys for sponsoring us. We appreciate it. That is about it. That is it for season 2. We will definitely let you guys know on our social media. So go ahead and follow us on social media. Do that. We will let you know if there is a season 3, because we will be back. All you guys and Dan will all be back for season 3 of Halo. But that is it for us for now. So I'm going to swing it to Tom, who's going to let you know everything that's coming up on the Watching Now podcast. Tom, what is there to look forward to?
Okay, so coming up, we have a very fun one-off for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, a special return of the Monarch Files, which should be fun. I after seeing it, I can guarantee there's going to be some discussions and probably disagreements and some arguing and some yelling and yes, salt.
Big monkey big monkeys.
Big monkey. He's like just a bratty bottom in the bromance between Godzilla and Kong. He's the bratty bottom.
Can't wait. Epic.
That's a whole thing. Which when you tune to the episode next time, you'll see why I think he's a bratty bottom. Then we're also going to have a one-off on the Fallout TV show, which will be coming out. Was it April 12th? Is when the series drops. Some other people will be watching it, and they'll be fun about it, and it'll be fun times. And then there's some on the Bad Batch coming up. Maybe Knuckles if we can work out schedules and all that fun stuff. And whatever else pops up randomly can be fun. So keep it locked for surprises galore.
Yeah, House of the Dragon, I think is locked.
That too.
Yeah.
But that's like in June.
Yeah, later. We got a few months.
Yeah, a few months. So like keep it locked here for like all of the stupid ramblings and salt that we have, because we know shit.
That's what we do.
We know shit sometimes, and most of us pay attention. I'm like someone whose name starts with Nick sometimes, and he's Mackie and Vanek and Drew and his Hazley.
That's right.
Alrighty, so that is what you can look forward to on the Watching Now podcast. Remember, it's every Tuesday at 2 p.m. PST right here on CouchSoup. You can also find it on wherever you listen to podcasts. You can listen to it instead of watching us. But I mean, we have beautiful faces. Come join us on YouTube. We're also active in the live chat down there below during the live premiere of the episode, so come talk shit with us there as well. Also, head on over to CouchSoup, where you can become a member today for some cool membership perks, and you can support independent creators like us, because that makes us happy and we have bills to pay. But other than that, keep it locked in right here at CouchSoup for all of your pop culture needs, to keep that hungry nerd soul of yours well fed. And from all of us here at the Watching Now podcast for Halo Season 2, we are signing out. See you, Spartans. That what? Spartan. Osmosis.
What?